Tantor Audio, a division of Recorded Books, presents the CBT Deck, 101 Practices to Improve Thoughts, Be in the Moment, and Take Action in Your Life, by Seth J. Gillihan, Ph.D., narrated by Patrick Lawlor. How to use this deck. Cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT, is a practical and action-oriented approach for quickly building positive emotions and meaningful engagement in your life. You'll find 3 powerful types of practices in the CBT deck. Think, cognitive strategies for training your thoughts to serve you well. Act, behavioral techniques for choosing actions that build the life you want to live. Be, mindfulness practices for experiencing greater presence and connection in each moment. These 3 approaches overlap and will work together to reinforce one another. For maximum benefit, use 1 card each day, and be sure to practice the techniques rather than simply listening to the cards. You can jot down the day's card and post it somewhere visible to remind you of what you're working on. If you ever need additional motivation, remind yourself of the positive changes you're looking forward to that will make your efforts worthwhile. With repeated practice, you'll find yourself using these techniques more automatically. I'm wishing you all the best along the way. Think, countering all or nothing thoughts. Pay attention for times today when you're thinking in black or white terms, such as, nothing is going my way. Consider whether the situation is actually that extreme. For example, how many things in reality actually are going the way you want them to? Practice seeing shades of gray in each experience. Think. Give yourself credit. Notice how you explain the things that go well in your life today. Do you give yourself credit for the role you played, or are you quick to chalk it up to luck or other external forces? Practice recognizing the responsibility you have in your successes. Think. Training your morning thoughts. Our negative trains of thought are often waiting for us when we wake up in the morning. Write down 3 positive and accurate thoughts that you can read and repeat to yourself before you get out of bed tomorrow. For example, list some things that are likely to go right today. Practice filling your mind with thoughts that serve you well. Think. Be your own friend. When you make a mistake today, no matter how big or how small, treat yourself like you're someone you love dearly. How would you respond if they did something similar? Notice how this response compares to your typical self-talk when you mess up, both in terms of what you say and how you say it. How does it feel to be friendlier toward yourself? Think. What was I thinking? Whenever you experience a surge of strong emotion today, stop and ask yourself, what thought just went through my mind? Thoughts like, I'll never succeed, can lead to sadness, whereas thoughts like, they really like me, might lead to joy. Write down 3 examples of what you find as you practice recognizing the thought-feeling connection. Think. Limits of your control. When you're worried about something today, write down 3 things about it that you can control and 3 things you can't. For example, you can control how much you rest and hydrate when you're sick, but you can't control exactly when you'll feel better. Focus your efforts on what's in your power and let go of fruitless mental efforts that try to force the outcome you want. Think. Observe your morning thoughts. Place a pen and notebook next to your bed, along with this card. When you wake up tomorrow, take a few minutes to observe the thoughts that greet the day. What are their focus and their tone? How hopeful or pessimistic are they? Write down what you notice. How might your thoughts be setting the stage for how your day will go? If you like, choose another card to practice today. Think. Should you worry? It's hard to let go of chronic worries, in part because our minds often tell us we need to worry about something and that worrying is in some way useful, even if we can't control the outcome. Notice if this belief is driving your worry today, and give yourself permission to let go of unproductive trains of thought. Think. Angry shoulds. Anger toward others is often driven by the thought that they should behave differently. For example, this driver should be going faster. Often, though, these statements express wishes, not facts about what the person has done wrong. Try stating your preferences. For example, I wish this driver would speed up, instead of accusing the person of wrongdoing. Notice any changes in your experience of anger. Think. Emotional reasoning. Just as thoughts can drive feelings, feelings can influence thoughts. Notice today if your expectations are based on how you feel. For example, I feel X, so it must be true. For example, if you are feeling anxious, do you assume that means something bad is going to happen? Remind yourself that your feelings may have nothing to do with what will actually happen. Think. Thoughts are not facts. We often assume our thoughts are simply observations about what is true. I'm pathetic, or nobody cares about me, can feel as real as the sky is blue. Be on the lookout today for interpretations you're making about yourself, others, or the world. Realize that these thoughts are stories your mind has created that may or may not be true. Think. Assume the best. Most likely, someone will do something today that annoys you. When that happens, aim to make the kindest possible interpretation of the person's actions. For example, if someone cuts you off in traffic, you might tell yourself that they're in a hurry to see a dying loved one in the hospital. See how this reaction affects your peace of mind. Think. Expect the best. When you find yourself worrying that something won't turn out well, try making a positive shift in your thinking. Instead of assuming the worst, ask yourself, what if it turns out great? As long as the outcome is uncertain, it's better to assume it will go well and to focus your attention on what you actually can control. Think. What are the odds? When you're worried about something bad happening today, think about how likely that outcome really is. How often has it happened before? Are there more likely outcomes? Most of the time, the things we worry about never end up happening, so the anxiety we experience causes us unnecessary suffering. Think. How bad would it be? Look for times today when you're worrying about a possible catastrophe. Would it be as bad as you fear? Worse than bad? The worst day of your life? Insurmountable? Or would it be a problem you simply need to handle? Picture yourself using all your resources to cope with it if it were to occur. Think. Permission-giving thoughts. When you're tempted to do something today that you know isn't in your best interest, look for thoughts that would enable the unhelpful behavior. For example, I've had a long day, so I should skip the gym. Question whether these thoughts are true and if there's a more accurate and beneficial way of thinking. For example, going to the gym helps me unwind after a long day. Think. Do it now. When you find yourself putting off something you need to do, notice if you're telling yourself you'll do it when you feel like it. If you don't feel like doing it now, then you probably won't want to do it later either. See what it's like to take care of it right away, regardless of your feelings, just because it needs to be done. Think. Letting go of worry about time. The next time you're feeling stressed that you may be late for something, open yourself to the possibility that you could indeed be late. It could happen for any number of reasons. It will be whatever time it is when you arrive at your destination. What do you need to focus on in the meantime? Think. Question your shoulds. When you feel a difficult emotion today, like anxiety or disappointment, notice if you're making should statements about yourself, such as, I should be there by now, or I should be a better parent. Notice what happens when you reframe these statements as, I would like to, instead. What does this shift in wording do to your feelings of stress or self-blame? Think. What do they need? As you interact with others today, ask yourself, what does this person need right now? Are they hungry, exhausted, overwhelmed, lonely? You can ask this of anyone from a stranger to an intimate partner. It may be especially powerful to do so during a disagreement. Does this question affect your interaction? Is there anything you can do to help meet their need? Think. Finding contentment within. Notice today when you're telling yourself, I'll be happy when, or I can't be happy because. We usually blame our feelings on our circumstances, our health, our income, how others treat us. But people find ways to be content in the worst conditions and miserable in the best. True contentment lies in opening to your life just as it is. It can start right now, exactly where you are. Think. Recognize self-limiting beliefs. No matter where you are, there's a next step that awaits you. What have you been holding back from doing because you're afraid you'll fail? Pay attention for self-limiting beliefs. I'm not ready. I'm too young or old. I might fail and embarrass myself. I'm too afraid. Judge carefully whether these thoughts are accurate and if they're good reasons not to express the full force of who you are. Think. Dealing with irritating thoughts. The next time you're upset with someone you care about, write down the thoughts you're having about them. Then take a closer look at each one. Is it true? Does it tell the whole story? How do these thoughts affect your feelings toward your loved one? Write down any alternative ways of thinking that might better fit reality. Think. Negative core beliefs. Write down a day's worth of your thoughts that lead to distress. Look for recurrent themes. What patterns do you see? Catastrophic fears? Expecting to fail? Believing others take you for granted? Specific thoughts often come from underlying core beliefs about ourselves, others, and the world. By identifying your core beliefs, you can more easily recognize and respond to the thoughts that come from them. Think. Question the rules. Notice when your behavior is driven by subtle rules you tell yourself. For example, the things you must do. For example, having to do things in a certain order or to a standard nearing perfection. Often these rules are just habits you've fallen into that may not be serving you well. If that is the case, choose a different action that works better for you. Think. You're not the only one. Our faults or limitations often feel very personal, even if they're an unavoidable part of being human. When you're feeling critical toward yourself, remind yourself that you're not alone. There are probably countless others who have similar struggles. See what it's like to take your imperfections less personally. Think. Do they really think that? We often assume that others are thinking badly of us, that we're awkward, dumb, weird, or any other insulting label. These thoughts generally have more to do with how we see ourselves than with what others think of us, if they're thinking of us at all. Notice your negative assumptions about what others think of you, and question whether there's any solid evidence to support these thoughts. Think. Bedtime thoughts. As you get ready to go to bed, notice what's on your mind. Then write down 3 things, big or small, that you did well today. Briefly write down what you did to help those things go well, taking care to give yourself appropriate credit. After you lie down to sleep, allow the mind to continue to dwell on what went well. Think. Observe your thoughts. Find a quiet space and bring to mind a situation that's been mildly troubling you. Notice the thoughts your mind has about this situation. What are your questions, judgments, or fears? Practice watching these thoughts and studying them with curiosity without being completely absorbed in them. Be aware that thoughts are products of the mind, not direct indicators of what is true. Think. Shifting your comparisons. Notice today when you're comparing yourself unfavorably to others' good fortune or success. These comparisons are often painful and trigger feelings of envy and inadequacy. Then expand the frame. Who is worse off than you? What do you have or what have you accomplished that others might admire or even envy? What happens emotionally when you make this mental shift? Think. Useful anxiety. Notice how you tend to interpret anxiety. Does even a little bit feel like an unwelcome problem? In its milder forms, anxiety is actually an adaptive response that prepares us to take action and motivates us to get things done. Reinterpret your anxiety and use that nervous energy to help you do well in a new situation. Focus on doing the best you can, however you feel. Think. Set your course. As you start a home or work project, challenge any unhelpful thoughts that pop into your head, like, "This isn't going to go well," or "I don't know what I'm doing." Instead, fill your mind with realistic thoughts. Focus on the effort you're going to put in, which is under your control, rather than on the outcome. For example, "I'll do my best to solve problems as they come up." Think. Worries resolved. Remind yourself today of times when you were fairly certain something would go badly and it actually turned out fine. For example, worry, we would run out of gas. Outcome, we made it to a gas station. Write down 5 examples like this. Recognize that today's worries are likely to be on your list the next time you draw this card, and allow your mind to focus on other things. Think. Problems as opportunities. It is nearly inevitable that you'll experience a problem you weren't expecting today. Prepare yourself to welcome this event rather than seeing it as something that shouldn't have happened. Keep in mind that life is a continual stream of challenges and that you have what you need to handle them. Act. Plan rewarding activities. Write down 3 activities you would like to do more often that bring you enjoyment and/or a sense of accomplishment. Plan a specific time in your calendar to do one of these activities each day for the next 3 days. Notice any effects these activities have on your emotions. Act. Get organized. Choose an area of your house that you've been needing to declutter and organize, such as a storage closet or a kitchen drawer. Set aside 25 minutes per day to work on it until it's done, starting today. If you're feeling unmotivated, remember that motivation tends to follow action. Go ahead and get started. Act. Spread joy. Think of someone in your life whom you care about deeply. What's one thing you could do for them today that would make their life better? It could be something small, like making them a cup of tea or doing one of their chores. Since feelings often follow action, don't wait until you feel like doing it. Lead with action and see what happens. Act. One step at a time. What's one activity you need to do but have been putting off? Identify the very first step in completing it. Make the step very small. For example, the first step in painting a room might be finding your brush and roller. Complete that step today, and then plan to do the next small step tomorrow. Continue in this way, one manageable step at a time, until the task is completed. Act. Enjoyment and importance. Write down how you spend your time today. Note how much you enjoyed each activity and how important it was that you did it. As you review your day, what trends do you notice? All enjoyment and no importance? The reverse? A good amount of each? Consider how you can build a healthy balance of both kinds of rewarding activities into your daily schedule. Act. Working through social anxiety. Notice whether there is anything you've been avoiding doing today because of social anxiety, such as making a phone call, attending a gathering, disagreeing with someone, or speaking up in a group. Choose one way to move through that anxiety, something that would challenge you but still be manageable. Write down what you intend to do and then follow through on your plan. Act. Move in a new way. Choose a different form of physical activity than what you normally do. If you usually run, go for a bike ride. If yoga is your thing, try hiking. Open yourself up to the full experience of the activity and feel what it's like for your body to move in a less familiar way. Act. Treat yourself to lunch. Make yourself a nicer lunch today than you would normally do. Prepare it as though it's for someone you love. Take your time and go the extra mile, including a cloth napkin and metal silverware. As you eat it, see how it feels to enjoy a meal made with care. Act. Eliminate unnecessary frustration. Look for one source of frustration in your life that you run into repeatedly, like a disorganized and overstuffed drawer. These daily hassles take a toll on us in ways we might not realize, like making us more easily irritated by other people. Set aside some time to fix the problem so you can enjoy more peace and ease. Act. Stare down your fear. Look for ways you've let fear hold you back, at work, in your relationships, or in your free time. Face one of your fears today, choosing something that is challenging yet manageable. Reach out to someone close to you for support if necessary. Imagine what your life would look like if you pushed through your fear every day. Act. Be encouraging. The next time you're feeling down, think of someone in your life who needs encouragement and reach out to support them. It might help you feel better, and even if it doesn't, it will help the person you care about. And more importantly, it shows that you can be of service even when you're feeling less than 100%. Act. Take care of yourself. What's one nice thing you can plan for yourself today that you'll look forward to and enjoy doing? Put it in your calendar at a specific time. It can be something small, like treating yourself to a fancy coffee drink or listening to your favorite music. If it's hard to think of ideas, then imagine you were planning it for someone you deeply care about. Act. Alternate work and breaks. Break up your work today into timed blocks with periods of rest in between. For example, clean your house in 25-minute intervals with 5-minute breaks in between. Take longer breaks after 3 or 4 work intervals. Use a timer or an app, there are several available, and be sure to take your breaks. Notice any positive effects on your productivity and mood from working this way. Act. Send your love just because. Bring to mind someone whom you deeply care about. Write them a card, email, or text message letting them know how much they mean to you. It doesn't have to take a long time or be the perfect message. Just let them know you're thinking of them and that you're glad they're in your life. Act. Plan your day with care. Look carefully at your calendar. Is there any optional stress built into it? For example, do you plan so many activities that there's no time left to breathe? Is there time set aside for life's essentials, like sleep and movement? Aim to make one improvement in tomorrow's schedule that makes you more excited to greet the day. Act. Sleep checkup. How many of these sleep-related behaviors do you do? No screens in the bedroom, a bedtime routine, not using alcohol to fall asleep, a consistent sleep schedule, getting natural light in the morning, a cool, quiet, and dark bedroom, getting out of bed if you can't sleep, no caffeine after lunchtime, no naps late in the day, consistent exercise. If you scored lower than an 8, aim to make one improvement this week. Act. Technology tune-up. Pay attention today to how often you're glued to a screen when you don't have to be. Technology has a way of spreading into every moment of our lives if left unchecked, with negative effects on our relationships and peace of mind. Designate some screen-free zones today to keep technology in its proper place. Act. No regrets. Imagine looking back on your life near its end. What would you regret the most? Some of the most common regrets include worrying too much, being controlled by fear, and not investing enough in one's relationships. Take one small step today toward fully living the life you want to have lived without regret. Act. Act now. Think of one thing you've really wanted to do that you've put on hold, like writing that book, finding a better job, or starting to date. Perhaps you've told yourself that it won't be the right time until you feel better, aren't so busy, are less anxious, and so forth. If you're able to do it now, then why wait for the perfect time? Choose to take the first step today. Act. Do what matters. Write down your most important values. For example, perhaps you value serving others or sharing love with family. Now take a look at your schedule for the week. Do you spend a lot of your time on things you deeply care about? Or do urgent or trivial things crowd out what's important? Find one way today to align your calendar with your values. Act. Be accountable. Plan a specific time in your calendar today to do an activity you've been putting off. Now tell someone you know well that you're going to do it today.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?